really excited to share 3 bits of news from my painting today with you. Firstly, I ventured out into the storm Eunice over the weekend. I went out to Cornwall. Secondly, I'm in my studio, and what is usually paintings and chaos everywhere it's empty in here because I'm in the middle of I've packed down my studio, and I'm 5 days away from starting a purpose-built studio, starting to build it in the garden. And then my third bit of news for today is that we're about 24 days away from the launch of my new painting course, online painting course, and we've got a good number of people subscribed for that so far, so that's really exciting. The first piece of news is basically Storm Eunice is they build it as the biggest one in 30 years. I was 9 when the last biggest storm hit, and so throughout my career I've challenged myself to work in challenging conditions, and I just couldn't help myself. I escaped, managed to drive down to Cornwall. I drove really slowly, and I was really cautious the whole way down. I picked a route without many trees, etc., because I didn't want to put myself at risk or require emergency services and stuff. But I got there safely. It was all fine. And basically I pulled up, and it was wild. The noise around was crazy, and there was a slightly sheltered path up onto the piece of headland. I picked an area in North Cornwall, a couple of miles from where I grew up, and it's called Highcliffe, and it was kind of one of the most exposed points, arguably the most exposed point in the UK for this storm. And I walked up, walking fine, and then I got to a little bit more exposed point, and the wind just hit me from behind, and it just forced me to start running. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to stop, and I kind of had to plank and pick a point, a little bit like an escape lane on a hill for a lorry, and I just deliberately fell into a hedge to stop myself, to brake. And so I got to the point near the coast path, stashed my kit essentially, and then I went out to scope to find a safe place where I could paint. I was lucky enough that it was an onshore wind, meaning that any gusts or anything was going to blow me into the cliff. Had it been offshore, there's no way I would have gone out there. It would have blown me out to sea and stuff. And I went out, and it was incredible. It took all of my strength to stand upright, kind of in defiance of the wind, and I literally could not take a step forward. And the only way, and a couple of gusts knocked me over as well. I was just about managing to stand still. And the only way that I actually managed to get out there was to lean with all my weight until the point I was about to fall. And then I just started running, and then the forward momentum of running was enough to keep me going out there. I found a spot, safe, slightly more protected spot. I went back. One of my canvases by this point had blown away, and I'd lost that. And I realised I just needed a small amount of kit, so I packed a skeleton kit, enough to know that I could use a couple of bits without, I couldn't get the kit out, it would have all disappeared. I went out there, and I basically created these 2 paintings, and these are canvas, like tent material, and I pegged, you can kind of see the size of it, I pegged it with 9 pegs around the outside, and I pegged it taut, but it basically gave me about 20 minutes before all 9 pegs ripped through the canvas, basically. So it was a 20-minute painting. And I'll post the videos of it, but it was billowing, and my marks, I was trying to draw carefully, and the wind was shaking me so much that it's just got the life of the storm in the painting. I'm just super excited. It was a bit nerve-wracking, really exhilarating, high adrenaline, and half of the marks are just created by the force of the wind moving my hand in against my will, if you like. And then I did a second one here, and I put out a watery mix of paint, and all of these these effects in the paint, this stuff here, is by the action of the winds just moving the paint around as it dries. So I've never had that effect. It's similar to to the effect that you get when sort of you get cracking with ice, but the effect of the wind on the paint was stunning, and it was just it was icy cold, and there were bits of debris just sort of slamming into your face the whole time. But super exciting. It was just fantastic, and I was sort of careful and cautious and safe at the same time. But I had to sort of exhilarate, just experience that. The second thing I was just going to tell you about is basically I packed down my studio. This is an empty shell, and I've started these drawings for my new studio build basically. And I've got a 3 metre sort of opening wall here, and then we've got a veranda bit that's going to be sort of built around the tree, and it's all going to have sort of north light basically to have the soft sort of gentle light for painting and stuff like that. And that we've got the building materials arriving in 5 days' time, so I'm going to sort of be keeping you with updates in terms of kind of the progress of that build, but should be in about 4 or 5 weeks' time. Here's a couple of the other paintings that I did during Storm Eunice. And then the third and final piece of information that I wanted to share with you today is this painting course. So it starts in 24 days' time, and you may or may not know, I was a professional, I've been a painter for 20 years, and I was a professional art teacher for 15 years. And I've decided to write this course and launch this course next month on the 17th of March as a synthesis of all of my direct experience and my skills, but also the 15 years that I was a practicing teacher. I was privileged enough to have been working with multiple professional artists, delivering courses to my students. And so this course I'm really excited about and want to sort of build today is a synthesis of 15 years teaching, 20 years of professional practice. And there's a large number of people subscribed already who are not professional artists, but people who are confident with working with materials, who have been drawing and painting sort of in different forms throughout their lives. So it's perfect for if you want to sort of, if you're at a level with your technical sort of skills as a painter and within drawing, this is a perfect course to learn a really rich, diverse kind of form of techniques. It's structured to start very, very simply, and then just to keep building, and it will give you a really, really solid framework in order to create, to take your work onto the next level. Here's the 5th one. This is the final one that I managed to do in Storm Eunice. This one was on the south coast there. And these are the sorts of techniques that I'm going to basically be working through, from sort of drawing up through mark making, colour mixing, paint work, and then the sort of the culmination is to do with viscosity of paint and then how to apply that outdoors and working with the elements and stuff like that. So course opens in 24 days time. There are about 4 places left with that. If you're interested, send me a message or reply to this or something. And fantastic, thank you for watching. Storm Eunice, new studio and a painting course, all happening this month. Fantastic, exciting.